What is up, everybody? This is going to be episode 45 of an Untold narrative, and it's going to be a special one because it's just going to be me and you, and I'm going to riff for a little bit, chatting about the 5 things that I learned in completing the 75 Hard Challenge. Now, I did this challenge a couple weeks ago now. It must have been completed 3 weeks ago, roughly, and I was going to immediately do it, but I decided to take some time and think about it and make sure that all of my key learnings were exactly kind of as I imagined them a few weeks out right after that I completed the challenge. So the first thing I'm gonna tell everybody is that this challenge is not for the faint-hearted. It was arguably one of the hardest things that I've ever done. I previously thought the hardest thing that I ever done was train for a marathon in 2019. That sucked, and I don't ever plan on doing that again, nor do I recommend anybody do that. But this definitely topped that. This was an all-inclusive, all-encompassing mental, physical, and emotional challenge that even a marathon couldn't beat and top in terms of difficulty. I'd like to say that I do believe that anybody can complete this. I do believe that anybody can go out there and start from day one and finish through 75. But I also know and understand and appreciate that this isn't for everybody. You need to become a special type of person in order to complete this. And we're gonna talk about the 5 things that I learned. But first, I wanna tell everybody about what the challenge was very quickly, because otherwise you can Google it, 75 Hard, or listen to Andy Frisella's podcast, who is the creator of this challenge. So what is the 75 Hard Challenge? It consists of a number of different things, and probably the first and most daunting part of it is the 2 workouts a day. You gotta do 1 indoor, 1 outdoor, both workouts, 45 minutes. That's an hour and a half every day. It's not easy, folks. It's not that you just go and you work out for an hour and a half straight. You have to separate these 2 workouts. They recommend at least by 4 hours apart. I even remember I started this challenge day 1 coming back from a vacation, and I got my first workout in at 5 p.m. and I waited till 10 p.m. to get my second workout. And that was just on day 1. You do have to completely shift your entire life schedule around this challenge if you want to be successful. The next is the diet, which is arguably, in my opinion, the least important. It's less about the diet and more about all of the different things holistically to create a bigger impact. What I did for my diet was I found that I was eating Trader Joe's frozen food section almost every night for dinner. And lo and behold, they're not the healthiest for you. So I wanted to devote this 2.5 months and beyond, because today I still don't do it, to eliminate frozen foods out of my diet. So I was cooking fresh vegetables and meats and things like that. And that really helped focus on a better ingredients that I was consuming every single day. So whatever that diet is for you, it could just be removal of sweets. It could be removal of coffee if you have a caffeine addiction. Whatever it is that's going to help you. Obviously, if you try to be a little bit healthier than where you were previously, on top of everything else, you're going to end up with good results. The next up was the no alcohol part, right? If you're like me, you are a social drinker and you enjoy a good time out. Maybe you have a cocktail or 2 with some friends every once in a while. I've never gone 2.5 months without drinking previously, probably since I was like 17. Honestly, like as soon as I entered college, there was always a reason to drink and go out on the weekends and stuff like that. And I just never got away from it. Never had a tremendous problem or anything. I would say that coronavirus definitely accentuated it and gave us a purpose to drink every single night because we had nothing else to do. But coming out of the pandemic, this was really beautiful timing for me to just remove that completely from my diet and flush out my system and start fresh. So definitely the no booze is a challenge. And it's a lot of excuses from people saying that they can't do that. But I promise you, as somebody who's not gone that long for 12 plus years, it's possible. You can do it. Next up was a gallon of water every day. Again, if you're like me, you don't like the taste of water and you don't hydrate enough every single day, it was a challenge in the first, like I would say 14 to 20 days when your body has no idea which way is up when you're consuming that much water and you're just chugging these bottles of water filled and you just don't know how your body's going to react. You're going to use the restroom 2 times an hour, maybe you're going to go a dozen times a day, 15 times a day, and it's your water bill is going to skyrocket. But that's part of it. What I did was divided up my day into these canteens of 24 ounces each. The gallon has 128 ounces, I think it is. So 5.5 of these canteens a day was going to get me to that gallon, and that's what I focused on. And then there was 10 pages of reading. Again, wasn't good at any of these things. I'm not a reader. I still don't really love reading, but you had to read 10 pages a day. And I know everyone's like, oh, that's easy. 10 pages isn't a lot. 10 pages consistently every single day, especially if you don't like reading, is a challenge without everything else. And so you get to read a lot of interesting books. They tell you to do it around betterment. I chose things around money and mastering, financial wealth, a Tony Robbins book, The 48 Laws of Power, The War of Art, and then I reread Bobby Hundreds' This Is Not a T-Shirt for the second time because I love that book. So find some books. There's some great books and options that you can purchase on Amazon for fairly cheap too, that ship directly to your home as well. And then last but not least, there is take a progress photo every single day. So you see the results from day 1 to 75. And what I did was I downloaded the $5 app on my phone, and there's a spot every single day or at the end of the day that you could just click and add progress photo. I would recommend that people take progress photos from different views, not just from the front. Take it from the side, take it from the back, because it's going to get toned up with everything combined. It's going to get toned up and you want to see all the different views. So yeah, and download the app. I thought the app was great. So now that everybody kind of understands holistically real quick what the challenge was and encompassed, we're going to go deep dive into the 5 things that I learned from the 75 Hard Challenge. The first thing is you're going to learn a lot about self-discipline. If you're like me, I actually thought that I was fairly disciplined in the past and I held myself accountable, but now I've just elevated that to a completely new tier. Completely different playing field in regards to understanding how to break down my day and hold myself accountable and just be extremely, extremely disciplined to every single thing that I do in the day. Both work-related, personal project-related, relationships, friends, family, everything. It's kind of this holistic approach of self-discipline and getting through it. I started the challenge more or less the same day as 2 of my other friends, 2 amazing humans on this planet who failed the challenge, 30s and 40 days in. And it really just comes down to self-discipline. Are you going to make excuses for yourself as to why you can't do this? There were plenty of times in the 75 days where I came extremely close to failing, but I was just so disciplined to myself. Day 63 or something like that, I was in Boston for an event with my friend. I dropped him off at 11:07 p.m. and I had 45 minutes indoor workout left, and I got back to my apartment just in time and completed it before the day was over. So you have to be disciplined. You have to understand how to navigate your day-to-day in order to accomplish all of these tasks. The second thing that I learned is not everybody is going to understand. And that's okay. Again, we live in a society where people want to make excuses for themselves and for everybody else around them. Every time I walked into a room full of people, they're asking me how the challenge is going. They're asking me how I'm doing. They're asking me what the progress is. And I appreciate that. But then I'm surrounded by people like, oh, I could never do that, or I don't have the time to do that. And my immediate reaction every single time is that's a bunch of bullshit. Everybody can do this. Everybody can do this. It just takes a special person, and you have to have that self-discipline, going back to point 1, that you are going to do this and you are going to have it and find the time in order to accomplish these things. Everybody has the time. I'm a busy person myself, and you can create the time in order to prioritize these things. And again, the second thing that I learned is that not everybody's going to get it. They're gonna make excuses. They're going to tell you that they can't do it. They're going to tell you that you're crazy for doing it. Have a drink with me. It's not that important. You can cheat it. And I'm so happy I didn't. I'm so happy that I held true. I'm so happy that I didn't listen to all the negativity, which was a big challenge. When everybody else is telling you that they can't do something and that you're trying to power through all that negativity and get to the finish line, it's not easy. But coming off of that thing that I've learned now, it's like my elevation of not making excuses for things is so fucking high that I don't believe that there's anything that I can't put my mind to and not complete. The third thing that I've learned, and this is pretty interesting, it's that results don't show every day. And it's funny because somebody's honking right now in the background. I'm just trying to record this podcast. People, chill out. Lost my damn train of thought. So this can go for like anything, right? It's that results don't show every single day. They don't show up. You need to see progress picture day 1 and day 75, put them side by side, and you're like, holy shit, that's insane. And really, that's what it came down to. I didn't think that I was making progress every single day. Every time I'd look through my camera roll, even between 10 days apart, I did not think that I was actually making progress. I didn't think that my body looked fitter. I didn't think that I looked tired all the time. But then at the end, when I looked at day 1 and day 75, I'm like, shit, that's a difference. I lost about 15 pounds. I went down a size and a half of pants, maybe 2 sizes. I just needed to tighten the belt a little bit more nowadays. But basically what it comes down to is that results don't show up for you every day. You have to put the time, you have to put the 10,000 hours in. You have to really push through to the finish line in order to actually be able to look back and understand and appreciate and be proud of yourself of what you've accomplished. The fourth thing, you gotta consume from the best. Going back to the 2 workouts a day, an hour and a half every day for yourself, with yourself, is a lot of time that you are just thinking and cultivating and just really understanding who you are, where you're going, what you're trying to do with your life. And it's a lot of time for podcasts. It's a lot of time to listen to music. It's a lot of time to figure out yourself. And what I'd recommend everybody do is just find a couple podcasts around betterment, around trying to improve your every day. I primarily focused on this podcast called Impact Theory by Tom Bilyeu, and he basically has a bunch of guests of the best. And I remember listening so vividly. I was in the gym like 5:30 in the morning, and I remember listening to this podcast he hosts this guy called the Iron Cowboy or something like that, and that man completed 50 triathlons in 50 days in 50 states, back to back. And here I am trying to complete a 45-minute workout, and I was like, holy shit. Dave, stop complaining about this 45-minute workout, because that man's is on another level and you can complete this workout. And so when you surround yourself with content, and that means no news, no bullshit, don't listen to the politics, don't listen to negative people, consume from the best, and it elevates you and your mindset. That is so, so critical. Whatever you have to do to surround yourself, watch positive YouTubes. There's so much good information out there. We just choose as humans to focus on the negative. And I just recommend that everybody find a podcast that's enlightening, that's around betterment, and it just treats you with better focus. And last but not least, and arguably the biggest takeaway that I've learned from the 75 Hard Challenge, number 5, is that you need to start every single day with yourself. And as soon as I said that, I just got chills up my back, because it's so fucking important, and I still do it today, and I'm so thankful that I do it. But the biggest takeaway was that every day when I'm trying to get my motherfucking ass out of bed, when nobody else is awake, I gotta focus on myself and get there and listen to the right things and refocus and start my day with myself. I used to, as soon as that alarm would go off, you'd obviously snooze. And then as soon as that I'm actually awake, every morning I would scroll through Instagram, I'd read the work emails, and I would immediately get triggered by all of these things that weren't up to my standards. And so I'm starting in that reactionary state, which is the worst place, because somebody else is dictating how you are feeling as soon as you fucking wake up. How is that healthy? How is that the right way to start your day? The first hour that you're awake is arguably the most important, because it's going to dictate how your day's going to go. So why would you want to start that with somebody else's bullshit that they're posting that their dog died or something like that? Like, who wants to start their day with that? I don't. And that's what I learned. I learned that I get up, I keep my phone on Do Not Disturb, I don't open up anything, and I get my ass to the gym, and I still do that to this day. Every morning, starting at 5 a.m. By the time every other person wakes up, 7:30, you're up for 2 hours. You're already in momentum. You're in full swing. You have all the energy. That's where it's at. That I'm not going to lose. That's so critical, is just to start every single day with yourself. And I'd even level that up and go end the day with yourself. The reading part, I actually ended my days with the 10 pages of reading, because it kept it to myself, off of my phone, off of digital, and I was able to just focus and let my eyes rest a little bit while reading and consuming something that's going to better me and set myself up into the night. And so I'd be able to fall asleep, get a good night's rest, and then do it all over again. So starting the day with yourself is highly, highly important, but then also ending it. If you can do those two things, you really, really set yourself up week by week, day by day, up for success. With all of that being said, that is pretty much all I wanted to talk about in this very brief episode of An Untold Narrative. I just had a lot of questions. I had a lot of people reach out about the progress and the ending of 75 Hard. People were pretty supportive, but again, you're gonna hear the naysayers. You're gonna hear the people that don't want to give themselves the time of day. They want to make a bunch of excuses. Don't surround yourself with those people. Focus on the people who can motivate you, who can inspire you, who can get you to that next level and that next tier of life. This is not an easy challenge, folks. And it's not to say that to pat myself on the back of doing this crazy thing. It's just I promise you, once you get through it, you're going to be so much better than everybody else. And you're going to set up the rest of your life for success. You're going to be able to do incredible things. And you just have to focus one day at a time. Don't focus on the 75. Don't focus on breaking it out into 30 days. Don't focus on breaking it out into 20 days. One single day at a time, and I promise you, you can get there too. That being said, that's it for episode 45 of An Untold Narrative, where hopefully you learned a thing or two from the 5 things that I learned from the 75 Hard Challenge. This is just David Filar, your host of An Untold Narrative. And until next week, thanks everybody for listening. Peace.